There is a country beyond that which is known to humankind. A stray country. A country that exists west of October, whose borders are somewhere between midnight train whistles and the distant howl of a dog. A country that lies somewhere in the stitched and jittering static between radio stations. A country that drifts through America like a traveling salesman, but every now and then stops to nest on a small town, a small church, a single street, and maybe, just maybe, some kind of delayed radio broadcast you've stuffed in your ears. Chapter 31. Where is the storm cellar? A boy's eyes watched the cold blue cone of high street light strained through the filter of 1 million dead houseflies. A second boy pounded at the door of government property, frantic to jump from this night to that warmer, government-certified night inside, snorting the oven smell of state-sanctioned air whistling through the door crack. The first boy had lost his voice somewhere across Night House Hills. Only watched the arc light. Listened to the fumbling static come loud, gone soft in the night. The street light wanted to flicker like old gas lights, wanted to blink like regular men, but was a type of gunslinger. Standing tall as 12 noon and pissing a stream of fool's gold, so could not flicker, could not blink, not until the upside-down world of 12 noon, which was 12 midnight, had long since passed. Not until the cock crowed, giving permission to put out the cigarettes. A boy pounded. A boy watched. Waited. Watched. Waited. Hearing an old tune on the wind. Something of an old nursery rhyme. Watching, waiting, won't you watch the night? The watching boy heard a carnival of thrifts. The noise almost nothing makes, tumbling down the street. His eyes widened. He wanted to call his brother's name, but could not remember it. Could not remember how to use that thing in his throat that made noise. Maybe forgot he had one. His eyes watched the crumbling dust of dead bugs drift down in the high arced light. Watched. Waited. Watched. Something crashed off a pocket-sized turnpike. A wreck tugged along with all the stage presence of a dead puppet. It crashed into the spotlight of one forgettable street light. Sagged there like all plastic sacks sag after snorting the breeze, coming down from the high. Then it was gone. The boy would have bleated like a sheep, but he had forgotten he could make noise. The other boy must have seen the glint of plastic off second-rate manufactured windows. He pounded harder. The first boy backed into the door. He could not back up anymore, could not think or speak or shiver or cry, could only press his back against the door, which he did, and did. And did. The second boy pounded the door. Could not shuck the sweet horror off the night could only strike his fists against government-grade doors, pound against government-style glass. Off there, in the basement hour, a boy watched, looked to the next street light, the fake fluorescent colors of the capital man's penny pinching, an understudy compared to the sun, a gum wrapper flinting from a tobacco-littered pit, sobbing like a storm minus the rain, swapped with dead bug downpour. The boy's back hurt. He didn't know why. His body continued to back into the door, watching, waiting, watching. The boy heard the wind fiddle the dark, and in the dark something that sounded like a storm door drifting in the wind. Back and forth, back and forth. A storm door, back and forth, back and forth, left open in the rain, swinging, cutting the rain on its cheap metal, butchering drops with its mandolin slicer screen, back and forth, back and forth, screen door cutting drops smaller, smaller, smaller. The boy couldn't back up. He didn't know why. His body continued to dry. The sound of a storm door slaughtering the rain hissed off in the dark. But nothing entered the light. No. The boy, with his back to the door of the school, could hear the sound move, past the perimeter of light but not through it. Like he had learned something. Out there, in the dark, the boy watched the next street light, the closest one to him, one nearest the boys. Watched the pyramid of light, the incandescent bucket down a shit spit of light. Boring dead bugs. Raining cats and dogs minus the cat, minus the dog, swapped with plucked daddy-long-legs, leaning on the yellow of yellow jackets. Rainfall, rainwater, rainfall, rainwater. The boy heard something just outside the housefly downpour, delivered by the wind. The squeak of rainwater hinges, the squeal of rain-worn springs, the seal bark of storm doorknobs. But more, something that sounded like the spit of rainwater on old roofs, the frog choruses in heavy rain. Something that sounded like bad accidents on faraway highways or dogs chewing straw hats. Something that sounded like a cellar full of worms. Diseased cattle dying in stockyards. A bloodied, fallen old man, a crying machine, a couple drums of sloshing gasoline, a book of matches struck raw, last fall's burn, flies on manure. But above all, plain is radio static.
Janitor, help! Janitor, are you still there?